"What about my mother and father?" I asked. The old man untied the drinking gourd slung across his back. He lifted the lid by its stem and looked for something in the water. "Ah, there," he said. At first I saw only water so clear it magnified the fibers in the walls of the gourd. On the surface I saw only my own round reflection. The old man encircled the neck of the gourd with his thumb and finger and gave it a shake. As the water shook, then settled, the colors and lights shimmered into a picture not reflecting anything I could see around me. There at the bottom of the gourd were my mother and father, scanning the sky, which was where I was. "It has happened already, then," I could hear my mother say. "I didn't expect it so soon." "You knew from her birth that she would be taken," my father answered. "We'll have to harvest potatoes without her help this year," my mother said, and they turned away toward the fields, straw baskets in their arms. The water shook and became just water again. "Mama, Papa," I called, but they were in the valley and could not hear me. "What do you want to do?" the old man asked. "You can go right back now if you like. You can go pull sweet potatoes, or you can stay with us and learn how to fight barbarians and bandits." "You can avenge your village," said the old woman. "You can recapture the harvests the thieves have taken. You can be remembered by the Han people for your dutifulness." "I'll stay with you," I said. So the hut became my home, and I found out that the old woman did not arrange the pine needles by hand. She opened the roof, an autumn wind would come up and the needles fell in braids, brown strands, green strands, yellow strands. The old woman waved her arms in conducting motions. She blew softly with her mouth. I thought, nature certainly works differently on mountains than in valleys. "The first thing you have to learn," the old woman told me, "is how to be quiet." They left me by streams to watch for animals. "If you're noisy, you'll make the deer go without water." When I could kneel all day without my legs cramping and my breathing became even, the squirrels would bury their hoardings at the hem of my skirt and then bend their tails in a celebration dance. At night, the mice and toads looked at me, their eyes quick stars and slow stars. Not once would I see a three-legged toad, though. You need strings of cash to bait them. The two old people led me in exercises that began at dawn and ended at sunset so that I could watch our shadows grow and shrink and grow again, rooted to the earth. I learned to move my fingers, hands, feet, head, and entire body in circles. I walked, putting heel down first, toes pointing outward 30 to 40 degrees, making the ideograph 8, making the ideograph human. Knees bent, I would swing into the slow, measured square step, the powerful walk into battle. After 5 years, my body became so strong that I could control even the dilations of the pupils inside my irises. I could copy owls and bats, the words for bat and blessing homonyms. After 6 years, the deer let me run beside them. I could jump 20 feet into the air from a standstill, leaping like a monkey over the hut. Every creature has a hiding skill and a fighting skill a warrior can use. When birds alighted on my palm, I could yield my muscles under their feet and give them no base from which to fly away. But I could not fly like the bird that led me here, except in large, free dreams. During the 7th year, I would be 14, the two old people led me blindfolded to the mountains of the white tigers. They held me by either elbow and shouted into my ears, "Run, run, run." I ran, and not stepping off a cliff at the edge of my toes, and not hitting my forehead against the wall, ran faster. A wind buoyed me up over the roots, the rocks, the little hills. We reached the tiger place in no time, a mountain peak 3 feet 3 from the sky. We had to bend over. The old people waved once, slid down the mountain, and disappeared around a tree. The old woman, good with a bow and arrow, took them with her. The old man took the water gourd. I would have to survive bare-handed. Snow lay on the ground, and snow fell in loose gusts, another way the dragon breathes. I walked in the direction from which we had come, and when I reached the timber line, I collected wood broken from the cherry tree, the peony, and the walnut, which is the tree of life. Fire, the old people had taught me, is stored in trees that grow red flowers or red berries in the spring, or whose leaves turn red in the fall. I took the wood from the protected spots beneath the trees and wrapped it in my scarf to keep dry. I dug where squirrels might have come, stealing 1 or 2 nuts at each place. These I also wrapped in my scarf. It is possible, the old people said, for a human being to live for 50 days on water. I would save the roots and nuts for hard climbs, the places where nothing grew, the emergency should I not find the hut. This time there would be no bird to follow. The first night I burned half of the wood and slept curled against the mountain. I heard the white tigers prowling on the other side of the fire, but I could not distinguish them from the snow patches. The morning rose perfectly. I hurried along, again collecting the wood and edibles. I ate nothing and only drank the snow my fires made run. The first 2 days were gifts, the fasting so easy to do, I so smug in my strength, that on the 3rd day, the hardest, I caught myself sitting on the ground, opening the scarf and staring at the nuts and dry roots. Instead of walking steadily on or even eating, I faded into dreams about the meat meals my mother used to cook, my monk's food forgotten. That night I burned up most of the wood I had collected, unable to sleep for facing my death, if not death here, then death some day. The moon animals that did not hibernate came out to hunt, but I had given up the habits of a carnivore since living with the old people. I would not trap the mice that danced so close or the owls that plunged just outside the fire. On the 4th and 5th days, my eyesight sharp with hunger, I saw deer and used their trails when our ways coincided. Where the deer nibbled, I gathered the fungus of immortality. At noon on the 10th day I packed snow, white as rice, into the worn center of a rock pointed out to me by a finger of ice, and around the rock I built a fire. In the warming air I put roots, nuts, and the fungus of immortality. For variety, I ate a quarter of the nuts and roots raw. Oh, green joyous rush inside my mouth, my head, my stomach, my toes, my soul, the best meal of my life. One day I found that I was striding long distances without hindrance, my bundle light. Food had become so scarce that I was no longer stopping to collect it. I had walked into dead land. Here even the snow stopped. I did not go back to the richer areas, where I could not stay away, but, resolving to fast until I got halfway to the next woods, I started across the dry rocks. Heavily weighed down by the wood on my back, branches poking maddeningly, I had burned almost all of the fuel not to waste strength lugging it. Somewhere in the dead land I lost count of the days. It seemed as if I had been walking forever. Life had never been different from this. An old man and an old woman were help I had only wished for. I was 14 years old and lost from my village. I was walking in circles. Hadn't I been already found by the old people? Or was that yet to come? I wanted my mother and father. The old man and old woman were only a part of this lostness and this hunger. One nightfall I ate the last of my food, but had enough sticks for a good fire. I stared into the flames, which reminded me about my helping of my mother with the cooking and made me cry. It was very strange looking through water into fire and seeing my mother again. I nodded, orange and warm.